We're recording.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This virtual meeting of the City of Kingston Zoning Board of Appeals will now come to order. My name is Brian Cafferty, and I will be chairing this proceeding. I will take a moment to explain the Zoning Board of Appeals functions. The board is comprised of 5 members and 2 alternates. We have been appointed to serve the citizens of the City of Kingston. We will perform this service to the best of our abilities on a volunteer, unpaid basis. The other board members are, and if you would each take a moment and introduce yourselves.
Ari
Mary
Goldstein.
Neubauer. Sorry, Yuri.
Ari Goldstein.
Anthony?
Anthony Tampone.
Okay. There will be a period of public comment this evening after each variance request has been presented. This period is an opportunity for individuals to make a statement of opinion, not to engage in debate. Each speaker must state their name and address for the record. Speakers must be brief and to the point to allow everyone to have a chance to speak. Speakers must address the board as a whole, not individual members and not other speakers or audience members. A professional demeanor is expected. All right, with that, are we gonna make a motion to approve the minutes, I guess, or yeah, of the October meeting?
I'll motion.
Okay. That was Anthony. All in favor?
Aye,
Second, we got a second.
I'll
I
second.
No, Mary, I'm
I'll
seconding.
second.
Mary, I'm
All-
seconding.
Dear,
All
it's
in
all
favor?
yours, dear. All yours.
Mary, come lately.
Yes, I know. Wise guy. That child of yours keeping you up at night? I hope.
He was going to be at the meeting, but he has to recuse himself as well.
Good one, dear. Good one.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is owner applicant is Rachel Evans, 203 Lucas Avenue, Kingston, New York. This is a item on the agenda that I personally have to recuse myself from. But I will say that the applicant is seeking an area variance from the City of Kingston for the purposes of a variation in allowable 30-inch requirement to a 6-foot fence, chapter 405-28. And with that, I'm going to set myself aside and let the rest of the folks handle this. Rachel, are you there? Hello?
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for your time tonight.
Great.
I'm a little confused by just the brief description of my application because I had thought that we were talking about a line of sight at the corner issue. So I just want to see if maybe there's something I missed or should understand. So
Yeah, Eric can probably clarify because it's a front yard fence.
thank you.
Can explain to you that there's limits on front yard fences.
So because the lot is a corner lot, the fence at the corner can only be 30 inches high. If it was just a regular front yard, it could be 48 inches high. But because it meets an intersection, that's where the 30 inches comes from, going
Okay.
20 foot back on each side.
Alrighty, I understand, thanks. I thought it had somehow changed from corner to something different. So should I briefly tell the situation?
Yes.
Okay, so we put the fence up a couple of years ago to give us a buffer between what's our side yard and Lucas Avenue, which is quite really busy and quite loud. And that yard area is really the only piece of land we have. The back of the house has no backyard because there's a neighboring house built right there, and then the other side has no yard at all. So anyway, it's served us well, and I think it's very attractive, but apparently there have been some complaints. So I did provide photos, and I'm not sure what the board has seen, if they've seen the photos at the corner and the survey and all.
The board has received everything electronically.
Great.
Everything that you had sent me, your summation, your photos, and your application.
Right. So if there were something I could request, it would be that we could figure out a way to keep the fence, perhaps trim the grasses back because they had become quite tall, so that there's sufficient sight at that corner. But I'm certainly open to some sort of resolution that allows us the bulk of that, so I'm eager to hear what you think.
Has the other board members had a chance to go by and look at the site and see the situation?
This is the one on the corner of Lucas and Burhans, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I live on Alcazar, so I drive past it all the time, so.
Oh,
Yeah, I was there this morning. We lose Art?
Okay, are there any comments?
Looking at it,
Ah, there he is. Yeah, I mean, I'll share my feelings about it. The line of sight issue doesn't really seem to be too much of a problem because of how far it's set back, but there is a community character issue that typically created by front yard fences, and that are not common in that area. And it's, one of the things we've definitely learned a lot going through our visioning process with Kingston Forward is how important those public-private engagement spaces are to building community. So, I think a fence is fine, but a shorter fence is much more welcoming and doesn't look like a barricade.
I'm not sure if you noticed the folks directly across the street from us also have a 6-foot fence. It's in line with the house across their side yard. But
On
they
the
have,
side yard, not on the front yard, though.
I'm sorry?
On the side yard, not the front yard.
Right. And our
It's in front of the house.
fence does not go in front of our home. Where our porch is open to the street. It ends before it gets to our house.
Mhm.
Any other board members have a comment?
Well, I tend to agree. The one across the street is in the front of the property, but it doesn't go through the front yard. The one on your house that sits on Lucas, the part that faces Lucas, only comes a few feet short of going in front of the house. It's considered part of the front yard, I guess. I think I drive past it every day, and I tend to agree that a shorter fence, especially where it comes to the corner, and I agree with what the other board member said. I don't think that fence itself fits in with the character of the house or the neighborhood. And I think the shorter fence, where it comes to a corner, would follow the guidelines of the zoning also.
So if we did something like we took off the last section, which is, I'm not sure how long those sections are, maybe 8 feet. and the corner piece and put shorter sections in at the corner? Would something like that perhaps work?
I think it's the length of the front yard that's
Yeah.
really the concern. Yeah.
Because was there a variance obtained for that front yard fence?
No, I did not. There's also a line of trees and shrubs that is as tall or taller than the fence that sits right behind that fence.
The plantings look great, I mean, honestly.
Yeah,
that's-
they're beautiful.
So.
They are.
Thank you. We want it to be attractive, and we certainly want to be part of, as you know, we are very, active members of the community. We in no way intended to stifle interaction.
I mean, typically a 4-foot fence would be what was permitted in a front yard, save for, but the 30-inch requirement is only because it's a corner lot, right, Eric?
Right, but ultimately the decision becomes up to you guys.
Mhm.
You know, you can make a compromise or suggest another thing, another way of doing this that would satisfy the board. Ultimately, you could deny it, or you, like I said, make another suggestion like we've done in the past. Mary's aware, for example, with other fences, we've had our, what do we do? What did eliminate the triangle or whatever they say, and it's ultimately it's up to the board's decision. I don't want to say anything that might impact your decision.
Ari, any thoughts? Hope you're muted.
Okay, it's hard for me to really assess based on the photographs provided. What I understand. I understand the precedent, with the fence height. I think that I haven't physically seen this property, so.
Do you know where the tennis courts are on Lucas Avenue, Ari?
Yeah, where
The house is right across the street from the parking area for the tennis courts there. So I understand their plight, because you have not just neighbors driving past, you have people who use the tennis courts in that parking area. And I understand they have they have really no privacy in their yard.
Right. So I'll just say, I'm going to give you some information quick. This particular property has no side yard and no rear yard. The whole yard is in the front, basically, and the portion of the side. That's how it's kind of set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciating from the photograph included that the fence is set back from the road a bit, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
And the reason for creating the fence was what?
I'm sorry?
Is it purely a privacy issue, or what?
Well, it's not as much privacy, because we're not private. We're open to Burhan's and the tennis courts, and we're open to people walking by the front of the house. It's more a buffer because the traffic is really, really fast. They're way beyond speed limit, and it's an uphill stretch of road. So it's quite loud. And I like
Burhan's is a one-way at one point.
What's that?
Okay.
Burhan's is a one-way at one point.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think she's talking about Lucas Avenue with the traffic going very quickly.
Yep,
Yeah.
Luke. Yeah, it just roars all day long. And so this has given us the use of the side yard. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to be outside there.
Yeah. I mean, I could say, the Lucas Avenue is more or less, it's sort of a thoroughfare, and, I don't, without having seen this, beholding this property, like I'm doing a drive-by or a walk-by and looking at the photographs provided in my little walkthrough on Google Maps, I don't think that this fence really takes away too much from that area. I don't really have a problem with it.
Mary?
I like to
Well-
think it adds something because it's a nice fence.
It is a nice fence.
Yeah, it
It's not
It is.
Yes.
an expensive fence.
In defense of the fence.
Yeah, yeah.
Defense of the fence, yes.
Can I just make a point of clarification? I know I've recused myself from this. However, I did go out and look at the situation, and I think it at least would make sense to understand that the yard is both a front yard and a side yard.
Mhm.
Right.
It's really not kind of a traditional front yard. And the fence does not extend past the front of the house. So it's really, the whole thing's kind of like a corner side yard.
Kind of like on Main Street, the one on Main Street in Washington.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll let you guys think about that for a second. But I just thought it was worth mentioning that it's a sort of a awkward sort of, it's a matter, I guess it comes down to a matter of perspective, front yard versus side yard. And that was the one thing that's unique about that situation there. And
So that's actually the one thing that concerns me as far as like community character. I mean, I know the sidewalks are not so great right there, but on the corner of Main and Washington, like that property very much looks barricaded. And, I think it would look much better if it was a shorter fence. I mean, I'd like to propose, if a 4-foot fence would do what you want. I think that would look more appropriate, but I'm also very willing to defer to the other one.
Yeah.
So.
I use the fence at Main and Washington as a reference point for this one, and I find this to be, if I'm understanding the proportions from the photograph and knowing that area, I find it to be much less of a front. So
My fence is set back much farther than that's Brad Will's fence at the corner of Main and Washington. And it is, it's not, it doesn't join another fence. It doesn't create a a whole structure, a corner wall, because it does have one piece at the end. And I'd actually be glad to remove that corner piece if that would be helpful, because then it would just sort of join the line of trees and shrubs as a sound buffer for us. So I wonder if you'd consider that.
Okay, I'm a little confused. I thought you wanted to put a fence up along the Berghand side.
No,
No.
I think why she's here tonight is she's basically looking for the same thing that this board gave Brad Will. That's what she has explained to me. She's not looking to add any pieces to the fence. The problem with the fence, the way it sits is the 405/28 obstruction at an intersection.
Yeah, okay.
So she's not looking to add anything else. She's
I
looking-
thought she was I misunderstood. I thought she was gonna add.
No.
The fence will stay exactly the way it is now. Except that that's it. If whatever you guys approve, she's not adding
Right,
to it.
I hear. Okay.
I don't think there's a line of sight issue. So if that's really the.
No, there isn't, as far as I can see.
For anybody else.
That's what she's in.
Yeah.
She's in violation of 405/28, which is obstruction at an intersection.
But technically, if going down to that stop sign, the stop sign is right at or just a little past the line of the fence.
Yeah, I don't think the fence is blocking anyone's view of the street.
No, it's not of Lucas. No, I have no issues, and I use that to exit my street all the time.
Yeah.
I've
The other
only-
side has a line of sight issue where the retaining wall for the tennis courts is very challenging to see that direction, but not so much on our side. So yeah, I would love to keep as much of that fence as you would allow us to. And if it would be helpful to remove that corner, the end piece, I'm glad to do that. So I appeal to your wisdom and hope this can work out.
I have no issue with the side piece. My only concern is the character and the height, but, I'll also see to, what Ari and Mary feel like.
Thank you. I honestly
Mary,
wish it was,
You live like right there, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. In fact, I can see the back of her house from my backyard. And it doesn't obstruct any, if you're coming down Burhans to go to the stop sign to go onto Lucas, it doesn't obstruct any view of Lucas when you're looking right. Okay. And you do have to move up a little because of the wall by the tennis courts there, but that's been there since I was a kid, and that was eons ago. I wish the fence wasn't in line with, the 4 foot, but I mean, it's there. It is pretty. I don't see why we can't just, trying to remember if there was a fence there a few years ago when the original owners had it, but I can't remember. I know there were trees there.
There was a hedge, Mary.
Hedge, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was, a hedge.
the tax records show a
A
photograph of a
hedge,
hedge.
right,
Yeah.
okay. I'm okay with it at this point. My concern was that you were gonna box it in with a fencing on the Burhan side.
Then we wouldn't be able to watch tennis all day.
I know. Or watch the people walk their dogs or walk up their children up and down the street.
So at this point, can we find out if there's anybody in the public that would like to speak on this?
Yep. Okay. If there's anybody from the public that would like to speak on this issue, please unmute yourselves.
Anybody?
Hold on, I have to go ahead and unmute.
Bueller. Bueller.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this issue?
I think not.
I
Going
don't think
once?
so.
What's that?
Going once.
Okay.
Because
So-
there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4 other people here, so.
So at this
Nobody's
point,
unmuted.
is there a member of the board that's willing to make a suggestion here and a motion so that we can move forward?
I'm sorry, there was can you repeat that, Brian?
Yeah, is there anybody that would like to make a motion so that we could move forward, whatever that?
I
motion
move that
would be?
I move that we allow her to keep it the way it is.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Oh,
what's the matter, Eric?
Somebody trying to talk?
nah, the screen
I know, a
It's
phone.
changed a little bit here, so I'm trying to get back to the way it was, but
And Anthony, was that you second?
That was Ari that
I
seconded.
seconded.
It was Ari? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Now on, Rachel, you'll be hearing from Eric on this, but.
Did you take a
things
vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
I got everybody.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I only have I only have 3 people. Why is that?
Because you recused yourself, right?
Yeah,
So-
there's only 4 of us here.
Okay, so, all right, I just wanted to make sure that I had the right number of votes. All right, good. So, Rachel, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all.
Looks like, and we're gonna move on to the next agenda item. Have a wonderful evening. You'll be.
Rachel, I'll
Eric.
get you a letter out within about a week.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice evening.
You too.
You too.
Okay, next up on the agenda is Brian Ginty. You there? Can you unmute him?
Brian is here. Brian, is your representative from Timely Signs here?
No, I'm here representing myself.
Okay,
He
Go
looks
ahead.
pretty competent.
So I purchased the property at 325 Albany Avenue last year and looking to make some changes to the signage. I submitted, along with the documentation, a photo from Google Maps that shows when you're coming down Albany Avenue from the new traffic circle, there is a rather large pine tree that kind of blocks the view of pretty much everything. Like, you really can't even see the building, let alone the sign out in front of the building until you're pretty much right on top of it. And if you're coming the other direction down Albany going towards the traffic circle, by the time you see the sign, you've already passed the entrance to the parking lot. So I want to just move the sign out to the front of the building so it can be seen in both directions. But in the process, I discovered that this property, when it was built in 1960, they never bothered to change the zoning from residential to commercial. Now, I can tell you I'm definitely taxed as a commercial property and definitely not taxed residential. So they told me I need to apply for a variance to move the existing sign from its current location to a new location in the front of the building, because a residential property only allows me to have a 6 square foot sign, which obviously isn't going to offer me very much. So I am here to apply for a variance to move the existing signage.
Okay. Have all the members had an opportunity to drive by and see this site?
All the time.
Yeah, so this situation is actually, I mean, the movement of the sign is one thing, but they're also talking about reducing the size of the sign, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's actually.
Yeah, I think the new sign is technically smaller than the existing sign.
Right.
So obviously one would ask the question, well, how did the existing sign get built in the first place? It was
Yeah,
obviously
well,
done before
1960, there
We
wasn't
won't
any
go
zoning.
there. We won't go
Yeah.
there.
Exactly.
Yeah. All
And I
I
even
can
asked my
say,
architect, Scott Dutton, if we could just get the property rezoned as commercial like it should be, and as I'm certainly taxed. And he said, yeah, if you want to wait about 2 years and go through a mile of red tape.
yeah.
So this was the alternative plan.
Yeah, it doesn't at all change the character of the neighborhood. The building's getting a facelift.
Right.
There's nothing about this that doesn't just make straightforward sense. And
No, if anything, the new sign definitely fits more in character with
yes,
the neighborhood and the mansions on Albany Avenue, that kind of thing. So I'm quite pleased with what Timely Signs has come up with. I'm pleased with some of the work we've already done, and I'm looking forward to doing some more.
okay.
Yeah,
Is there-
I'm fine with this whole thing.
Yeah, I am
Yeah,
too.
think it's-
I agree.
think
Is
it's
there anyone-
majority.
Does anyone have is there anyone that opposes this, or is this just,
No.
okay.
I don't think so. Is there?
No,
And
No,
is
I
there
don't.
anybody-
I'm fine with it.
Is there any member of the public that would like to speak on this?
If you'd like to speak on this, you can unmute your phone. Nope.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm gonna put it out to the board. Would somebody like to make a motion? There seems to be no objection. It's
I'll
a
motion
pretty
to
straightforward.
approve
These are the kinds of area variances, these are the kinds of things that our board was built for.
it.
Yes.
I'll
Pretty much.
second.
Who made the motion?
I did, Anthony.
Anthony? Okay, and the second was,
Ari.
all right. Mr. Ginty, your variance has been approved and you will be hearing in
What about
writing.
all in favor?
Yeah,
Oh, all in favor? I thought we had,
Aye.
I'd say, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Thanks. All
No
right.
problem, dear.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Enjoy your evening.
Okay, next up is Tremper Avenue. It's Raquel Stammer and Nicholas Penkin. Are you folks available?
Yeah, we're right here. Can you hear us?
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Good
we're
evening.
okay.
Just to couch this, I'm sorry, I'm using my computer. So I have to get into my understanding is you're looking for a variance, an area variance for the height of the fence for a side yard on Tremper Avenue. Currently, right now, there's a massive what looks to be like a pallet fence or something like that there now. And you're looking to get a variance to build a 9-foot high fence as
Yeah.
opposed to a 6-foot high fence.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that's correct. Right now we have we made these planters on wheels. And then on the back, there's like a pallet sort of wall to block, so that you can't look into our yard. And
Okay.
we're looking for a variance for a 9-foot fence.
Okay. And is there anything else you'd like to share with regard to why it is that you're, I have seen the application letter. Everybody else, I'm assuming has seen the issue here. I'm gonna basically open it up to the board members. Is there anybody on the board that would like to speak on this issue? Have any questions of the applicant? Or would the applicant at least like to say something before we make our comments?
Yeah, I would like to speak if possible. I want to say that this fence to me is not something that I have desired or wanted to apply for. I see it as the only possible way for me to regain some sense of privacy and safety in my life. The situation has been incredibly stressful. I feel as a prisoner in my own home. I don't feel like I have the possibility to relax and to find rest. I'm incredibly stressed and quite honestly very sad about that this situation has unfolded in my life and that I have to deal with this. I think that it should be my right to live my life peacefully. And I've made that clear that all I want is for me to be left alone. And that goes the same with my husband. And the only thing that has helped in this very sad situation is the fence that we built to begin with, which is this pallet wall that you spoke about. We basically put it up because it was the only thing that would allow us to be undisturbed, because it makes it more difficult for us to be like talked to when we're in the back of our yard. And so that's also why it's my firm belief that a 9-foot fence, which is 9 feet because there are like 2 porches in the backyards, and it's the only height that actually will allow it so that it's not possible to look at us or talk to us, even if other people are on their porches, or more clearly that my neighbor's on his porch and then can talk to me if the fence is any lower. So that's why it needs to be 9 feet. And like I said, I really think that this is the only solution. And the reason why I look very, let's say, little tense is because this is of such dire importance to me. This has been going on for almost a year on and off, and I can't like sort of express enough how much of a toll this has taken on my mental health. So I just want you to know that I like this is not a decision that I made lightly. Neither of us made lightly. And yeah, that's the background for us applying for this variance, is simply because it's unbearable to be harassed in your home.
Right. Nicholas, do you want to add anything to that?
Just very briefly that, the application for the variance is to have built professionally a 9-foot permanent fence staked into the ground, fully compliant with the property lines and the easement of the shared driveway. What we have currently was basically built in an emergency, the best we could figure out how to, have some kind of visual barrier. So it's going to look, much different. It's going to look like a very nice fence that's tall.
Yeah, and that's another thing I also want to say, as Nick is saying, it's going to be like in compliance with the easement, which means that it's also actually going to be pulled back quite a bit from the neighbors. He has his own fence, and the fence that we would be building would be in compliance with the easement, which also means it will actually be a few feet into like our property, because the property line goes down through the middle of the driveway, as you can probably see on the survey that we also sent. So it won't be like right up to like the property line of our neighbor. It actually will be like pulled back a little bit. Yeah, and like we plan to build a beautiful tall fence, like a wooden, nice looking, very solid fence. And
Well-
also I think it's important to say that like throughout this entire process, like we've been compliant and we've like tried to solve this as fast as we could. Like we had a surveyor come out within a week, which is like kind of a miracle. We've been in touch with Eric multiple times about what we're allowed to do, what not to do. We got the application together really quickly and sent it in and stuff like that. So like, yeah, the only reason why there is like a pallet wall at the moment just is because we didn't know what to do first off, like in the beginning, and then we put that up, and then it was up for about 6 months before our neighbor complained about it. And then when he did, we moved it back within, like we had X amount of weeks to sort of figure it out and have a survey done. And once the survey was done and the surveyor told us you have to move the fence, we did so.
With the current, well, first of all, let me just say that I feel I feel for you. It's I understand this is a difficult situation, and I am very, very sorry to hear that this has taken such a toll on you. If I'm not mistaken, though, the current barrier, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is still well above the 6-foot height, correct?
Yeah. It is above the 6 feet because I'm not saying that I want to keep the barrier as it is. Like, I would like to have a legal sort of 9-foot fence that like the zoning board has given me.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But just to say, yes, right now, the current fence is somewhere around 9 or 8 feet. And we made it that tall because that means that he can't look into our yard and harass us.
Okay. Again, I feel badly for your circumstance.
Can I just chime in here?
Hold
No.
on, Mr. Edge.
Or-
The chairman will call
I'm a
on.
neighbor.
Okay, Mr. Edge. The chairman will call on you when it's your turn, sir. Just bear with me. I don't want to have to mute you.
If he does that again, definitely mute him. Okay, the rest of the board, comments? And did everybody get a chance to drive by and see this situation?
I didn't get a chance to see the situation. I looked it up on Google, but is
Yeah, I
the
went
fence
by.
going to be in the back of the house or along the side of the house? The right
It's on
side,
the
left
side.
side?
It's on the side of the house that
Only in the backyard, so it would run between the very back of the house to the back of the backyard. So it wouldn't be
Right.
anywhere near the sidewalk or
the only person who's going to see it ultimately is the neighbor.
It's along the edge of the
and
easement, right?
Yeah, that's another, yeah.
Is Ari there? Or is he gone?
Ari's here.
I'm here.
Ari, any thoughts?
It's a really tough situation. I mean, I don't have any immediate objection, given the circumstances, but I'm listening. So I'm actively listening.
All right, well, here's my thoughts on it. Boy, can I empathize with the idea of having, a challenging situation with the neighbor. But we can't open the the door to setting a precedent that every time a person has a problem with a neighbor, they get to build a wall between them and their neighbor. The reason we have codes with regard to fence heights and stuff like that is it speaks to community character. And we were just talking about a fence. And as much as I empathize with the applicant, and I truly do, I just think that this gets to become a real problem if we start saying to people who are having difficulties with their neighbor that they can build a 9-foot, 10-foot, whatever they need to build. I understand the height of the fence is related to the fact that the neighbor has a deck or a raised platform, so there's a part of their property that's elevated well enough to be able to look in to the neighbor's property. So that alone sort of exacerbates the situation. But again, I'm struggling with the idea of setting a precedent where we're going to allow people to build 9, 10-foot high fences because they're having a problem with a neighbor. And that's that's just I'm putting out there that I've got a real issue with setting a precedent for this. And I don't know if, does anybody else on the board, share that concern?
I agree. And I also have, I mean, given the circumstances and what's happening, I don't think a 9-foot fence is gonna stop it. And I agree, Brian, that once we open that door, it's open.
Yep.
Yeah, I concur. And I also really sympathize and empathize for the applicant. I wonder that if a 6'5" fence, I mean, whether or not that's even been tried and how effective that would be. By rough estimates, the neighbor's porch is probably roughly 15, maybe 18 feet away from where the fence would be. So when you take into account line of sight from that height over a 6'5" fence, you probably can't see most of the backyard. A fence permitted under, without a variance might be at least, significantly effective.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm speaking with Raquel and Nicholas. The neighbor's deck is pretty close to the property line, is it not?
Well, like he has a small deck and it goes from the back of his house and then it goes pretty close up to the property line. Like he would be able to see a lot of our yard. And I also want to say, like, I mean, I was a little careful with what I said earlier because obviously he's here and he has a history of like retaliating against us whenever we've like spoken out about what's happening. He's tried to file complaints on me to the police for apparently harassing him. And I want to say that like the only thing that has helped is that he can't see us. Like, quite frankly, he seems to enjoy harassing us when we're in our backyard. It has been going on and off for months. The only thing that helped was that we put up the fence that we have now. Right. I can't be in my backyard without him harassing me. He has spoken to us up outside of our house for months. So imagine he stopped, but like, and he would then like harass us when we're in our backyard. The only place where we could be in peace would be inside of our house. He's put a note on the front window of our car at one point when we were like,
we got it.
I just want to say, like, this is like a thing where like you might say that like it doesn't help to build a fence, but it actually has helped. I can't be anywhere out. Yeah,
I got it. I understand, and we got it, and we know it's a problem, and maybe the fence would help, maybe it wouldn't. We have a real dilemma here because we just can't have people walling themselves off from their neighbor with fences that are 3 foot higher than the standard height. My one question I have for you is that if you were to build a standard 6 foot fence, is there space to plant any kind of shrubbery that would grow higher than that fence?
Yeah.
Well, it's on blacktop. So, I mean, in theory, we could take it up, I guess, and grow stuff.
What's on? You have blacktop in the backyard?
The driveway. That's the driveway that runs between the two houses. So we can't plant obviously in the blacktop driveway.
Okay, I'm confused. The fence is on the driveway?
So there's a driveway between the two houses. I mean, I think.
Can I just like, you can reference the survey map in that you will see that like the easement used to be a shared driveway. And like from that shared space, it went out to 2 separate driveways in the back. So a lot of the backyard is blacktop, okay?
Yeah.
So that's
It's
like
all
an
blacktop
entrance from
to the
street.
garage area.
Excuse me?
The area from the easement to the garage is all blacktop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see it in the survey.
Yeah.
There's
It
a,
just says B, so it's like not really, there's an area there, but it's hard to say what that actually is, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all blacktop. And I want to say, like, I mean, we would need to remove a lot of the blacktop, and then if we planted something, obviously it would take a long time. I mean, this situation is equivalent to, like, I'm a woman who's being harassed by my male neighbor who used to be my friend, who refuses to leave me alone. Like,
okay.
I think it's
so-
important to also, like, estimate that, like, even if I plant a shrubbery, it's gonna take a while before.
Well,
Well,
certain
there
things
are-
don't. Grapevines are wonderful. We have that. We have our backyard is, we have houses on either side of us, and we have a patio right off the back. And our neighbor's deck sits higher, and they're very nice people, but you like a little privacy. I put up arbors with grapevines, and they grow very quickly. And in the summertime, when you want to be outside and have privacy, the leaves fill it in, and you can't see onto my patio.
But then what about the winter? I mean, like,
Because
I go
the
outside,
vines are
I wear headphones because I'm scared of him, like, talking
Just
to
before
me and
it's-
saying
yeah, I know.
derogatory, like, nasty stuff to me.
The only other point that I would just make about somebody said they don't think it would even work is that, like Raquel mentioned, it did work between about March or April when it first went up, and then the beginning of October when all of a sudden apparently there was an issue with the placement of it. There was no contact essentially in the backyard. The visual barrier seemed to be what worked
Right.
for us.
And
So-
also, I want to say, like, I understand that you can't just allow people to build fences, but, like, this has been going on for a really long time. Like, he's trespassed onto our property, like, he's harassed us, he's
Okay.
threatened us with legal action. Like, it's beyond just like a normal
You keep,
neighborhood.
I'm respectfully, you keep repeating yourself, and I do.
Sorry,
truly
I know.
understand.
I'll stop now.
I true, and if I were in your situation, I'd probably do the same thing.
Me too.
But I don't think there's a member of this board that doesn't get the dynamic here. I want to ask a question. Has the police department
Right.
done anything? Have they been helpful in dealing with this harassment issue?
Well, I mean, like, basically, I've talked with them multiple times. Like, eventually they allowed me to file a complaint for trespassing, and through that apply for a order of protection. And that was, he got an ACD, which is adjourned, considered to be
Yep.
dismissed.
Yeah, I know. what it is.
And I called the assistant DA and told him about the situation. And he basically said, well, the guy has 6 months to chill out. And if he starts up with you again, harassing you, I want you to call me, and then we can file for stay away. So, like, the police hasn't been very helpful, which
So is
assistant
the
DA
order
wasn't.
of protection in place, or did the ACD, the adjournment contemplating dismissal, get rid of the order of protection?
Well, yeah, I mean, I basically, like, he wasn't convicted for trespassing, so then I couldn't get an order of protection. And the police is very difficult to get to, like, pursue harassment charges. But the assistant DA said, call me next time, like, because this isn't okay, and then I can get, like, a restraining order for this guy. So, like, he wasn't surprised that the police hadn't been willing. But he was saying that, like, if this continues, you should reach out to me and I will talk to the police.
Okay,
But
so
currently,
Do you
there's
have
no,
cameras up?
here's what I here but we're gonna have to we're going to have to. Is there any other board member that has any questions or comments with regard to this?
Well, I think that I'm going to break with the group here and say that I think that this situation is pretty extraordinary. I mean, I've been on the zoning board for a few years now. Now, granted, not as long as other people, but this is strikes me as a case that I haven't seen a precedent for. I'm sure there has been one. Don't get me wrong. I think that the fact that we're dealing with a fence that really is towards the back of the house and doesn't really detract from the character of the neighborhood is another considerable factor. So I mean, I think that when we think about hardship variance, maybe this may be one, and the consideration could also be if the permanent structure hasn't yet been designed, that maybe it's possible that the structure could be designed such that if the 9-foot barrier has proven itself effective, that maybe the structure could be designed such that the 6.5 to 9-foot section could be at some point taken down. So, but as temporarily to give reprieve to their suffering, I think this is a reasonable variant. Thanks.
Okay, so here's what I want to do is I want to at this juncture, I think that instead of just closing the door on this and taking a vote on it, I think what I'm going to suggest is that we table this item and that we find out what's going on with the police department and find out where we're at with regard to that. I think it's important before we set a precedent about building walls that high, fences that high between the property. So do I have a motion to table this and allow us to investigate where things are at with the police department and this ongoing issue?
Yeah, I'd motion that. I think exhausting other options before walling off is probably prudent.
Yeah, okay. So is that a motion, Anthony?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a
And I
second?
second. I'll second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are we going to be responding to Mr. Edge this evening?
Well, we can allow him to speak if he wants, but for right now, we're going to table this item.
And Brian, it's Dan Gartenstein. Let me just jump in for a second. I think given the issues that have been raised and the comments that were made by the applicant with regard to court proceedings and the district attorney and confusion with regard to an order of protection, I would not recommend letting anyone speak further about this until I have had an opportunity to speak to the DA and speak to PD and clarify where everything stands at this point. I don't want anyone making comments that could potentially be used against them in pending city court proceedings. We're talking about a very delicate matter that really is not a zoning board issue as much as it's a criminal matter.
Okay, and I couldn't agree more. So at this point, we are tabling this item and there will be no more public discussion on it. And all in favor of tabling this? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're on to the next matter. Thank you very much. I guess they're gone already, but
No, we're still here, but thank you all and have a wonderful night.
yeah, we want to. We're gonna look into it. We're gonna,
I'll be in touch with you, Raquel.
Yeah, please reach out if you need
Dan
anything.
Gartenstein, the Assistant Corporation Counsel for the city, just spoke. He's going to be talking to the DA's office and the PD, like he said. He'll be back in touch with the board and with the chairman, and then I'll be in touch with you as to when you'll be coming before us again.
Okay, can I just say, it was the assistant DA. His name is Sohail, who was in court on our behalf. That's it.
I'm sorry?
Just said like can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Like-
fully aware of who the ADA is. I will be speaking to them.
Right,
Thank
but I just said it was the assistant DA.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
he
aware
knows,
of
he knows who it is.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
You're welcome.
Have
Good
a
night.
good night.
Thank-
Have a good night.
Okay, can we just take a 3-minute break here? Bio break?
Sounds good.
Yes,
Okay. Thanks.
yes, we can.
Oh, Lord.
It wasn't 3 minutes.
I was gonna say goodnight because took a minute, but.
That dog sounds like you could put a saddle on it. Is that Scott Denny's mug there?
That is Scott Denny's mug, Mr. Cafferty. How are you?
How are you?
Good, and
What's
yourself?
up, Mr. Denny?
Well, just this and that and all these little fun things and
Yeah, you call this fun?
well, we're gonna see. How are you?
Well, it's I'll be glad when this year is over. I didn't think
Yeah, we're getting there quick.
2021 could possibly be worse than 2020, and I might have jinxed myself and said, that's not possible, and it turned out to be actually worse. So,
Oh, good Lord.
yeah, it's just been a rough year all the way
It
around.
has been. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, between COVID and all the other craziness, it's just been I'll be happy to usher in a new year and hopefully have it be better.
Well, at least you look happy to chair this committee. I think that's really nice.
Well, to be clear, I'm the acting chair.
Acting chair.
He's doing a
Oh,
great job.
good.
Doing a
no,
great
you're
job.
doing
Great
my
job.
All yours. All yours. Yeah, there you go,
I'm
Ari.
the acting chair. Thank you, everybody.
He's not the acting chair.
No, he's not. He is the chair.
You may think he's the acting chair.
Okay. Yes. Well, Dan Gartenstein, let me at least think that for now.
You can think whatever you want.
And then, yeah. So, yes, I am. Well, I'll at least say I'm the reluctant chair.
There you go. We'll accept that.
Oh, gee.
Wow.
But I will do what I need to do until somebody else is ready to do it.
You don't see any hands going up, do you?
Yeah, no, they're not all fighting at once.
Brian, your reference to Ferris Bueller made you the chair permanently.
Tony never made a Ferris Bueller reference, so
Okay, I was like,
not
Bueller.
that I'm aware of.
Oh, boy. Did we lose Eric? Did
Oh,
he-
Eric's here.
Oh, there he is. I was
Yeah,
gonna
been
say,
here, waiting for the meeting to
did he
start.
fall in or what? Okay. So, trying to put a little levity into what is a often dry subject matter. And next up is Daniel Venture. Is that, am I saying that correctly?
Perfectly.
Perfectly. All right. Good. Daniel wants to do a use variance, as I understand it, for changing a 2-family into a 3-family at 301-303 Hasbrook Avenue, Kingston, New York, 12401. And Daniel, why don't you give us a little bit of a idea of why it is that you are applying for a variance for?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for hearing me.
Oh, you're most welcome.
I purchased this property on 2020, January, and applied for renovation, start renovating on sometime in February or March, right when COVID hit. And so all of my numbers with renovation, but I renovate very deeply. I put all new plumbing, electrical systems, etc. So basically, the prices because of COVID on materials and labor were crazy as well. So it ended up costing me a lot more than should have cost me have I renovated on a normal time. So I am not getting enough of a return, and basically I'm getting no return. And this year, actually, I'm losing about $4,000 on the property because I had a problem on the sewer outside of the property. So it's not part of my numbers to you, but I have a hardship on this property, and I have a wonderful attic space, which is you go into the entrance of the house, and it has its own entrance, its own stairway. I'm planning to do another exit on the back, which is already built because the existing property had that. So it's not going to change the structure itself or the look of the structure. I renovate really, really nice. I have another project I've done before, which I think I present you copies of it. I renovate to last. I'm not the kind of person that buys or flips or etc. And so I applied because of a hardship. Secondly, because it's a very challenging to do a nice property on an attic, but the attic is really wonderful. It has 5 windows, gonna have skylights in it. It's gonna be a very, very attractive property. I have enough parking in it to satisfy this, and I'm presenting a studio plan, which originally was a 1-bedroom, but it seems that the studio is a little bit more open space. I'm an artist as well, and I think that an artist will love to have the space that I'm planning to build. And I wish for you people to offer me the variance on it. I'm a resident of Kingston as well, by the way, and I want you to let you know that.
Okay, so let me just start by saying that you are aware that a use variance is a pretty heavy lift.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for you all to have to listen to this.
No, it's okay. One of the things that I see that isn't in your application is a pro forma on the property, you know, after it's built. Like, what is the income going to be after you add the?
I thought I sent you that, or after I do the application with
Correct.
the new property. Oh, okay. So I will give it to you right now. We have an income of approximately 51,000 plus.
Okay.
And Brian, if I could just jump in, as you're aware, for the use variance, it is required that the board consider documentation with regard to the expenses. And in support of whatever decision you make about a reasonable rate of return. So the applicant merely stating on the record that this is what he's expecting to earn is not sufficient. And that's going to have to be submitted if the board wants to go forward with the application.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I was getting to that it has to be part of the record. I was just making the point that information wasn't included in his.
Listen, first meeting as chair, so I just wanted to have your back there, Brian.
Well, no, I am very grateful that you have my back.
I think I provide information on the financial. Did you get the cost of insurance and laid out of the loan and what I'm paying for and the expenditures and taxes, but I did not include the additional unit on it. And I did not know that I had to put the additional unit.
Right.
I had the property renovated and rented for 2 units now.
And I have a couple of questions, other questions as well. You say that you'll be providing 6 parking spaces. I was there. Do you own the adjacent lot? Because I'm not seeing where you're going to have 6 parking spaces off the street.
I provide a plot with the surveyor done with the 6 parking spaces on the paperwork that I gave you.
Okay. I was just, I didn't see, I did not see that.
I don't know if you can see them, but that's one of the pages.
Okay, hold on. It's such a long application. Okay, there it is. So you're proposing to put parking on the bias adjacent to the house.
Yes. And I have an easement from the second lot to be able to do that, to use it as an entrance.
Okay. And you have that easement in writing?
Yes.
Is that easement in your deed?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, one other question. You say that this is not a self-created situation, and I'm just I'm struggling with that a little bit. Why is it that you don't think that this is a self-created?
Well, I'm not going to defy what you're saying, and it basically is I started the renovation and COVID hits. So obviously it was self-created to the point that I did not stop, but I was halfway in it. And it's at a moment in which what you do, you stop everything or you continue and complete the project. So it was self-created to the purpose that I complete the project. It cost me a lot more. Have I not done it? Probably I will still would have spent the money because I had to still pay for everything until I get it done. But in any event, it was on my purpose to say, okay, I'm gonna build something so I can lose money. In other words, it's just something, the lack of the pandemic, that the labor was difficult to get, materials went up 200–300% on some items. And it was kind of like a very difficult time for me. I really did, you know.
Okay, another question. In
Please.
your letter, it says the closing for the property was held on January 2020. Purchase price was $105,000. Renovation cost. You're telling me that you spent on the current house, as it is currently, $264,000, and now your cost basis in the house is $369,000 before you do the renovation?
Those are the numbers that I did. I spent a fortune and I feel very, very bad about it. Yeah, I really did. I went crazy. And the question, I'm not a developer. This is not my business. I do one property every couple of years. I'm an artist. And therefore, it's not that I have a whole set of books and I totally realize every day what costing me what it doesn't cost me. I just go full blast and do something really nice because I feel that if I create a better product, it will last longer and I will have my tenants happy. Now, I have no complaints from anybody, and I just got an inspection on my other multifamily that is Clinton Avenue, which I did renovate and I spent a lot, but I do making money on that property.
Okay, so here's what my general concern is. For one, we need to see an application that's complete with the performa numbers as built, as completed, and we're going to need some sort of, in addition to that, we're going to need some kind of documentation that you spent $264,000 on this house. That's an enormous amount of money to spend on a two-family house, and you don't provide any documentation for that. You just simply state it that that's what you paid, and I'm assuming that on the basis of that you're making a claim that you have a hardship, which is...
I'd be glad to provide you with invoices or more numbers. I thought I have them all done and send them to you, but maybe.
Well, no, you didn't document what you spent on the renovations. You just sent what your current costs are in carrying the house. And am I correct that you have no more debt other than $36,000? Is that correct?
No, the debt is 200 and I have a debt. Let me see exactly what it is. 275,000.
That's your mortgage?
Yes, that's I gave you those documents as well. You should have it.
Yeah, there's a document in there that shows a 1-year note at 9.9% interest, prepaid interest.
But is that for 275, or I saw that there was debt, there was unless I'm missing something, there's a promissory note here.
Yeah, I owe $275,000, which I'm planning to refinance as well, and I'm waiting basically to know that this variance can be approved, so I incorporate it.
Yeah, no, I see it now. I just missed I see a loan of $27,225.
No, that's the yearly interest payment. The loan is for $275,000.
Okay, got it.
And I thought that's what it was required. I can give you additional paperwork if you do require it.
So we're going to need. I'm going to suggest that this application be tabled until we can get more complete information from the applicant. And I just want to be clear that we really would like to see documentation on your cost basis. You spent $276,000 in the house. It would also be nice to see some interior pictures, which would help sort of put in perspective how it is that you spent $276,000.
Absolutely. I will get, and I'm glad let me know that I needed to do that because I wasn't aware. I apologize for not presenting a better presentation.
That's okay. That's okay. You'll also need a budget for the. You also need a budget for the apartment. You say you're going to spend $50,000 or $60,000 on that.
It's out of my head. I can do it clearly and what it's going to cost, but it's probably that much.
Okay.
Excuse me,
does anybody? Yep.
Technically, what should be done at this point is that in order to avoid deadlines running, the application should not be tabled. It should be deemed withdrawn and then
Okay.
resubmitted with the fee being waived so that the clock starts ticking again. Basically, what you are indicating is the application that was submitted is insufficient because it does not include necessary documentation. So the applicant needs to withdraw it and then resubmit it with the documents that you are articulating.
Okay, so that's what I'm gonna suggest that we do, is have the applicant withdraw his current application and resubmit at a later date once he has all the documentation required.
Okay, so I'd be glad to provide this within, I think, a week. I could have all of these photographs of the place and.
Well, just what you should do is just be in contact with Mr. Kitchen, and he'll put you on the schedule once you have a fully completed new application. Okay.
Beautiful. I thank you so very much, and I apologize for not having a complete application, and it's my lack of understanding on this, but I most certainly will give you what you require.
Okay, can I get a motion for this?
I move.
Who was that?
Me, Mary.
Mary?
Gentleman, Mr. Denny's looking to speak.
Oh, that's, okay. And
He just doesn't want to answer me.
God, do I have to talk to him?
Fair-
Okay. And
You
who's
have
the
to just for a
second?
I second.
I'm sorry, I can't hear it.
I second.
Oh, all right, all right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Mr. Denny, what would you like to say?
Just a few quick things. Obviously, you've seen the house apparently, and I know everybody knows. I don't think anybody has to tell Mr. Cafferty anything about real estate. He's the expert. Couple of things that well, you are. The couple of things that I do want to address is the zoning. Is that there some type of a zoning change I would think would have to occur, because the house that we're speaking about, Mr. Otis lives next door to that, and I believe he's on here, Mike Otis. And that house is only 4 feet 9 inches wall to wall from his house. The two, there's just 4 feet 9 inches between the houses. So with that said, you go to a 3-family house. Incidentally, by the way, the current photos of the house interior is on Zillow.
So Scott, hold on a second. So this application's been withdrawn and it's going to be resubmitted. Is it okay that you hold your comments until the next?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Because it's no point in having this discussion now because.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay.
That-
You do
that's
that,
fine.
you do that favor for me?
Brian, listen, you and I always agree, don't we?
Okay. All righty. So, I think that concludes our evening's business. Do we need to do anything other than to have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
Second. My third.
I will. Good evening.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for their participation in my first meeting as acting chair, reluctant chair,
No,
chair.
not acting.
Don't cushion your comments.
yeah. No, nice try.
Brian, you did an excellent job.
Thank
Yes,
you,
you did. Very good. Excellent.
thank you, thank you. I even got Scott Denny here, like giving me.
Listen.
feedback, so it's good.
Listen, all the fights we've had, we're getting along just great, aren't we?
All right, everybody. Thank you for all your hard work. And till next month.
And please don't change the day. You threw me off.
Well, that was because
Because it was Veterans Day. We were
I
closed.
know, but I'm sorry I was late, guys. Won't happen.
So
again.
Eric, when's the next appointment? When's the next meeting? Just so I can put it in my calendar.
Okay, so the meetings are always the second Thursday of the month. So the next meeting will be December 9th.
December, that's my son's birthday. I
Oh,
probably
man.
will be there.
You're
We
out.
can't do that.
Well, we'll hope Donna's back by then. I'm sure she will be. All
Okay,
right.
let me know if you guys are in a pinch. Otherwise, everyone has to wear party hats.
No, yeah, hey,
I'm down.
hey,
All right, guys, have a
Good
good
night,
night.
all.
take
Bye.
care.
Care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.